Good morning, Chris. It's Monday morning here in Toronto, and it's time to enter the garden. So you can see I went with capo first fret, and that's just to make it more fluid and playable as a solo piece. You know, like you can hear the recording, the guitars sound like they're capoed, but other guitars sound like they're not capoed. And if you watch the video, he's playing, he's doing the whole thing all on one guitar with no capo, so it's, you know, something like this. You know, so a little bit, for a solo piece that might not ring and you're not going to get the same flexibility. So I just went with the capo option. But, yeah, let's dive into it. So it starts with this Geddy Lee riff. So what that is you're going up to the 7th fret and 7th and 6th, and you're just holding down the first two fingers, and then you're adding little bits of melody by adding the 3rd finger on the 7th fret and the pinky on the 9th fret. Now if you notice, I'm naming the frets up relative to the capo. You know, so this normally would be 8, but I'm calling it 7. And I'm just, plucking wise, I'm using the thumb for the 5th string and the index for the 1st string. So you get this picking sound. I blew it. So that's the great Geddy Lee riff. And if you can see that 9 in the middle it's got a really nice syncopation. That means you would expect there to be a bass note after it, but he lets it ring like. And that really gives it a nice feel. So that is in a bunch of different songs, and like I think Iron Maiden Run to the Hills Iron Maiden uses it, and other heavy bands like Black Sabbath has that. You know, like in War Pigs. So he's making his own entry into this world, and that's your great intro riff that keeps coming up throughout the song. And then that gets us into the verse. So the next thing is a bunch of chords. E, and then D, 6 add 2. So it's like a D, but you're just leaving out the other 2 notes. And it gives that right away, that sounds like a chord in a Rush song. You know what I mean? And A sus2, and back to E. And that is the verse, and it goes twice. And picking-wise, it's got a really interesting proggy little pattern of 2 downs, 2 ups. It is what it is. So yeah, it's down, down, up, down, up, down, up. And it doesn't have to be strict. He's improvising, keeping it loose, and that's what you should do too. And that's what I'll do every day of my life. Then the next thing is this great chorus riff. So this one is adapted because without the capo, it's a slightly different animal. but I slightly adapted it for just so it would be fuller and have a little more bass. So what you're doing is playing, you're playing a little melody and changing the bass underneath it. So if you listen to the recording, it's something like, and you can hear there might be the occasional other note in the middle, but what I did was just make a firm pattern out of it, like so you can see I added an extra note in there. So one repetition of the pattern is, and on the album it doesn't have that second note. It's more like, so I've just fleshed it out a little bit for the medium. And yeah, so the whole pattern, I recommend having the second finger on the second fret, and that just, I think you can keep that constant throughout the whole pattern. Alright, so the first, oh, another thing I want to mention is this cymbal. This is a repeat song, so it means you can play this and then repeat that whole pattern. That means a repeat of the previous bar. So I use that extensively in this section, and it just gets it across clearer, you know, like you know how many repeats of it. So you're on F sharp and for 2, then A, then B, and then D. And it repeats this whole section. I like this a lot. It's kind of a challenge. Then the next section is the same idea, but it has a different ending, so it's got the same beginning. Then it has a bass line going down, starting on D, then D, then C sharp. So it goes D, C sharp, B, A. I accidentally hit C. So that's that C sharp one is tricky, like holding your pinky on that. You could refinger and go. So there I'm recommending having the first finger for the, and then just refingering the whole next part. I guess the big question is what finger you're going to have on doing that. So I would say for the ordinary pattern, having the second finger. Nice and easy and organic. Now for this, you can switch it to the first finger, then back. So that might take a little second to figure that fingering out. So and then the first finger. And there are other possibilities, but I would recommend that, starting on the second finger and then back to the second finger. It's consistent, simple, straight ahead. Okay, then after that you're back to the riff. just for one repeat. It doesn't get repeated twice this time. It's just once. And then now we're on to the page 2. Another verse, the same as the first 4 repeats of this E. See, I'm improvising a little. I don't know how not to improvise, so... Okay, so then we get another... We hit the chorus again, but this time it's different. It's the same 2 patterns, but they're in a different order. So it goes the first pattern, then the second pattern, then the first pattern again, then the second pattern. In the previous chorus, it was 2 of the first pattern and then 1 of the second pattern. So this is going to be 1 repeat longer and in a different order. So I'll just play it for you, and it should hopefully add up. So that's the first pattern. This is the second one. I'm going to change to the first finger, then back to the second. The whole thing repeats. So the chorus is getting longer. And that's a trend that continues through the song, where the song ends on like 8 repeats. Here's the first finger. And then after this repeat, it sounds like the guitar does a big strum of E on the recording, but then another one at the exact same moment comes in on this classic little riff that is a version of E chord. It's basically a power chord, but on the 4th string, you know, like it's like if you made a power chord on the 6th string, it would be like that and like that, but when you go to the 4th string, you got to go like that because of the tuning of the instrument. And you get this E chord that is the first finger on the 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the 4th, and 4th finger on the 5th fret. And then this 4th finger goes to the 4th fret and turns it into an E major 7. So it's kind of an E to an E major 7. And that just seems to be put on a loop. If you look at the live video, like he's playing piano over top of it. So this is kind of the bridge. And that happens like 10 times. 2 for an intro and then 8 for the actual singing. Then you get to the solo, which is over top of E to B minor to A to E, which it bears a striking resemblance to a verse, you know, with this D. But on the recording, you can hear the bass is not playing a D anymore. The bass is playing a B minor. So it's kind of it's like the solo is just a little bit of a reharmonization of the verse. So I just acoustified it. And then, so, what I'm suggesting here is, like, if you can see on the page, I don't know how to do this. On the page, there's a bunch of bracketed. I know what to do. Hold this still and then go like this. On the page, there's a bunch of like, see how I made these little things in between in brackets in lighter writing? That's like, you can add that in to fill it out as a solo performance, you know? So the brackets just show like optional add-in to make it solo. So so the first bar, I kind of go for something like, so you can see I add in some open strings. And then a strum of B minor. You can hit an A after that. So that's kind of cool sounding. And then the next lick, I put a little bass note under it. Then there's time for a chord after that. Now here I left out a little bit in the middle so there would be room to stick a low E in there. And then, so it's like you can go through this nice run and then just stick an E and then right back. So I left out a little bit of where he's kind of noodling up and down that little scale like one extra time. So I just edited that out. This is the live solo, by the way. I didn't actually factor in the recorded solo for some reason. I guess this is mainly the live version. Okay, so anyway, so this lick, you've got this great, oh sorry, it's kind of pentatonic. I don't know if you know your pentatonic scale, but then it adds this note in there too, and then so it's just like a cool little area that you can jam around on. But then, so you can do the lick and then play a low E. So I'll take it from the bar of A before that. Then a low E, and then you get this great run. Half step bend, and you can hit a B minor after that. Man, that solo put my guitar out of tune. Okay, so I'll try the solo a couple times. So have fun adding those little things in there, and it actually kind of just works naturally to, you know, like the spaces. It's funny, he leaves spaces where you would want there to be room for a chord, so it just kind of flows. All right, and then the last thing is I think it's like a chorus times 8. So it's just like a big long build on the chorus, and the orchestra has all these other little lines coming in, and it just builds up. But the thing is, the version of the chorus it's just the second version, you know, like the one with the descending bass line. So the last thing you got in the song is Gives you a lot of chance to work it out. So it just ends on a big F sharp at the end. And yeah, that's how it goes. So yeah, let me know how everything goes with this. And you know, I'm pretty happy with this capoing solution to filling it up, because otherwise you wouldn't be able, you know, like if you're stuck with Fs, it's like you're gonna need surgery on your hand, and you're not gonna be able to improvise the same way, filling different things in the solo, you know, because the solo would be, you know, you're always, it's like you'd always be coming back to a barred or fretted note. So especially if you're, it's like you're always going to be clamping down on a bar. So I feel like the capoing solution helps it just be a guitar piece, you know? So, yeah, good luck, man. And if there's any questions, just shoot me an email, baby.